Hello, everyone. Welcome to Elevate Your Business, the show where we dive deep into the world of business success, along with the tactics and best practices used to get there. I'm your host, Ed Jarecki, and thank you for joining us today. For those of you familiar with our show, we aim to inform and empower business owners, leaders, and entrepreneurs like yourselves by providing invaluable lessons and advice from successful individuals who have traveled a similar path of business ownership. Our guest today is no exception. So sit back, relax, and let's give a warm welcome to our incredible guest speaker today, Jenny Wilkins. Without further ado, welcome to the show, Jenny. How are you doing today?
Thanks, Ed. I'm doing really well. It's beautiful. It's 70 degrees outside and waiting for that to happen.
So at 70 degrees outside right now, where are you located?
North Carolina.
Okay, that makes sense because it's pretty nice here and it's 30 something.
It was that last week, so it probably won't stay, but it's definitely welcomed.
Yeah, absolutely. So to start, can you share a little bit more about yourself and your business?
Yeah, sure. My name's Jennifer Wilkins. I go by Jenny for people who know me and work with me. I started my business in December of 2022 after a hiatus from work. I was teaching for 10 years and I left that because of COVID. And that brought me into this world of virtual assistants. A friend of mine introduced me to the idea, and I said, I have all these skills. I might as well be doing something for myself and not going back to the grind. So I started the business and it's been growing ever since. I get to work from home. It's pretty fun. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, and I look forward to watching this thing grow.
Outstanding. So what does success mean for you today? How do you define success?
Well, being successful is being able to stay in the moment is really my biggest success. Being able to walk through a day and not get stressed out, being able to walk through a day and just enjoy it. That is success to me. Before it was very stressful, the work environment that I was in, and it was a constant struggle to balance home, balance life. So for me, it's just being able to enjoy the way that life is and not get, bogged down by the rigmarole that gets thrown at us.
So enjoying the journey of life is really a major success milestone, if not the pinnacle. Is that a fair
Yeah,
way to say that?
absolutely.
And has your definition of success changed over time? And if so,
Oh
how?
yeah, absolutely. I used to think being rich was the goal. You grow up, you go to school, you get a degree, you get a job, you make money, you get promotions. Those sorts of things is what I thought was success. And teaching high school, I see that's a norm thought for most people when they're younger that that goal is to chase that money. And I'm finding the older I get, the money because is important. I mean, it makes, you got to have it to live, but it's not what makes or breaks my joy in my life anymore. So that's probably the biggest change in seeing what success is. It's just being able to enjoy life and not worrying about, and I'm pretty fortunate. I don't have to worry. My business is doing pretty well, but keeping away from the idea that you can't take things with you when you go. So people keep memories with you, and that keeps you going once you're gone. And so the money, it's not there, it doesn't go anywhere. So that would be my how I used to look at it.
It's a very common theme.
Yeah.
So, relative to your journey, your business journey in particular at this point, what are one or two key challenges that you faced?
Oh, I mean, just getting into it was a challenge. There's been a kind of a progression of challenges, but leaving teaching, that in of itself was the challenge. Finding out what I was going to do, that was ever since the sixth grade, what I wanted to do was teach. And I went to school and I got the degree and I got the job and I got the classroom and I got the students and I love it. Like it's the best job I've had in my life is working with young adults and watching them change and mature and grow into citizens that are active in this world. And so leaving that profession to take care of my kids was a huge challenge to break away. And I went through a pretty deep depression after COVID. Um, After COVID kind of simmered down and the kids were allowed back in school, and it was time to figure out, what am I going to do now? And when I went back to go substitute, just to kind of get my feet wet again, I said, I don't think this is for me anymore. Like, the whole dynamic of education has changed. The schools look different. The relationships look different. The kids are different. So just deciding that this was the path that, I'm supposed to be on, that was a huge challenge. And then networking, like just a practical challenge to business owners, learning how to network, learning how to build relationships with business owners outside of, hey, of course, everybody's looking for clients, but you can't build a business without genuine relationships. Just like in any community, a business community has to have a support network in order for it to work. So learning those skills in a business world has been a challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. I've experienced that myself, and I'm guessing a whole lot of our viewers have experienced similar. And if they're getting started, it is a major lesson that they should take heed on, build those relationships. I know in the first 20 some years of my career, I focused on the results, the outcomes. Relationships were part of it, but I didn't put as much energy into that as I should have. So definitely great lesson. When you think about innovation, how is that playing a role in your business? And we'll start with that question. How is that playing a role in your business?
Well, new ideas come all the time. So there's new products that come out, and it's a challenge. It's really is. There's so much out there, and there is so much to learn about it. I started off in 97 with Microsoft, whichever the first Microsoft was, learning Word and PowerPoint, thinking that was the world, thinking that was what it was going to be, and have watched it grow into, 50 CRM programs that you can choose from, or, podcast developers, or email management system, all these things that you have to, based on what your clients want, figure out how the stuff works.
How do you keep up with all those new changes and new products and services coming down the pipe?
Well, I pick the things that I want to do, and I learn those well. And then when clients bring up stuff that I'm not familiar with, I learn it. It's the biggest thing that I do. And there's not much to it. I mean, you either talk to a client and say, this is what I'm familiar with. This is what works for me. This is what can work for your business. Or if I haven't found something that works for that business, find it and learn it and utilize it.
Great insight. And I think there's a great lesson in there. There's a choice there, right?
Yeah.
Go down this path or this path. This path, I'm going to be limited. I can get deeper and maybe into my understanding and application of it. But when the world shifts, they're left in that channel of activity without really learning, understanding, and being able to apply the new things that have occurred.
Right. And there's so many new things that come up, like AI coming up. It's, people are scared that AI is taking the world over, and, just the teleprompter, that's, an artificial intelligence listening to my voice, writing down what it's saying so that I can read. That's been around for a long, long time. You have tools. That's what they are. That's all they are, is a tool that I get to use. And just like anything else, the tool is only as good as the user. So even though it's coming out, all these new products, if we don't know how to use them, they're not going to be very effective. So making that choice, making the decision on where I want to spend my time, because that is another challenge. We're limited, and there's so much out there.
So
Too much choice.
If I heard what you said there, part of it is you let the kind of clients guide you.
Oh, absolutely.
And do they guide you on the specific technology solution or
Not usually.
general? Okay.
Yeah, it's a general thing. Sometimes they do, like, talking about specific, like, I want to go into LinkedIn and I want to use Sales Navigator and I want to do X, Y, and Z with that. Usually I want a phone system that will speak to me and you. at the same time. Go find that. Or I want to track all of the corporate housing units that I have. Go find something that will work for that. That's generally how it works.
And so from there, you actually start your research to figure out what's the best solution out
Yes.
there, what's the best solution for that client out there.
Yes. That's exactly how it works. And
Do
then
you,
sometimes I already have it. I already know what it is, and I just implement it. Different project management software, things like that. I'll just say, this is what I use. And most clients are like, okay, I'll give it a try. And then if they don't like it after, a month, we try something different.
do you have any thoughts relative to what the business future looks like relative to how these tools are evolving and how you'll use them in your business?
Let me think about that for a second. I really feel like anything is becoming possible as far as making connections, because that's one of the things with the virtual world, working from home and working with other people. There has to be connections between us digitally. And it seems like because of innovation, because there's so many people trying to make a buck, we're getting all these systems that will speak to each other, which is, it's helpful, and it can be harmful too, because too much communication can cause just as many problems as not enough communication. But that is where I see it going, is where I remember when I was a little kid, we went to the Philadelphia Science Museum. This was in like the 80s. And AT&T had created a phone where you could look at the person on the telephone. And it was in a museum, like, this is new technology and it hasn't been out there yet, and I feel like that's going to be it, having multiple people on multiple Zoom meetings at one time. So I'm thinking that is really where it's going, is that it's just going to create more and more connections between businesses. But it's also the ability to not be tied to the workplace is where I see most businesses going. When my husband came home after COVID, he works in a public sector, and they've kept that framework where, half of the staff works at home and half of the staff works in the office, and using this as cost saving measures for businesses. I think that is something that we're going to see a lot more flexibility in working at home, making those choices for ourselves.
I kind of see this as a pendulum. The employee side of this situation really started to dominate and take control because of COVID, and they leveraged that for more and more jobs. Businesses had to adjust their hiring, the performance management practices, et cetera. And then on the backside of that, there's this huge rush to bring people back into the office. What do you think about that?
About the rush, like,
Yeah,
I think it's more effective to keep people out of the office. People are happier. When people are happier, people are more productive. When people are happier, they perceive their job as a more positive thing. And what do you want? You want people who want to work.
I thought a little bit about this and just kind of reflecting back on some of my corporate experiences in the office settings. You go into a meeting, you're sitting there scribbling or typing on your laptop or whatever. Then you go back to your office, you decipher the notes, and then you go ahead and, send out communications and, do whatever's necessary. And just the amount of time it took to travel there, to take all those notes, to recompile those notes, then to take the actions, where I click on my AI note taker tool, have a conversation like this.
Yes.
We finish in this much time. You got a few minutes between meetings, you do it all over again. And meanwhile, the note takers are spitting out almost perfect summaries of everything that was just covered, including the takeaways. Just absolutely incredible. And so I'm thinking, you go back into the office. I'm sitting in my office. Now I've got a note taker. So either I've got to go in and record the session with my laptop, or I just sit in my office and zoom into the conference room. The meeting is, I had to do the same thing. I'm like, how is that productive? There is a relationship component, and I think the world's got to learn some of that to be able to do that more collaboratively, more productively.
Yes.
But at the same time, I find it challenging on why so many of these corporate executives have to have that control with people in their buildings, other than they're paying for these buildings, so they want to
I,
populate them.
I think that's more of just like the organizational behavior. You know, it's what we're used to. And that's just how it is. And fortunately, humans adapt. And I think we're slowly adapting to the idea that you can still have control and not be, proximity and control are not always related.
Right.
So I find that you had just said, now I've lost my thought, but the coming at home, and I'm thinking of 50 million things right now, but just the impact overall. I mean, globally, it makes a difference having less cars on the road, having, less gas being purchased, all these things create a better life for people, and like I said, for me, the success, that's the ultimate goal, is to be able to enjoy the world around us and to enjoy the people around us.
Enjoy the
But
journey.
yeah, but you also said something about relationships, and something that I found that has been really helpful is co-working, and the working with people on Zoom. Me and my friend get on Zoom at least once a week, or sessions. We get on sessions, and I do my work and she does her work, and every once in a while we pop in and talk to each other. Or you get into the masterminds, and you have multiple people that you're working with. So it's keeping that human connection is really important to making this work also, because we can't work without each other.
That's
But it doesn't have to be me in your face or me coming to your cubicle to say hi. It can be me picking up the phone, FaceTiming you, getting on Zoom for a couple minutes and just talking about our day. And it's just a different world. I never thought it'd be this way. I grew up in the 80s, and it was very speak and spell was speak and spell was the thing that it was like the big technology from Texas Instruments at the time. And it could talk to you, and it could spell to you, and you could spell and it could correct you. And it was just like absolutely phenomenal technology, and I remember the card catalogs, and when they went from card catalogs to the computer database that was just MS-DOS, author, title, subject. And that's all you could search, and now you can write three sentences from the book and it'll find it for you. It's just interesting and funny to me, but it's great. I'm grateful that humans adapt and humans change with a little bit of kicking and screaming. But ultimately, I think that um that's the world we're going to be, screen to screen instead of face to face. And then we just have to make sure that we're still making those connections outside. But for work purposes, I'd much rather be at home going like this, having a couple lunch dates here and there, than
yes.
being around, so many people. It's a dream come true for me.
That's awesome. I do think there's going to be a balance here, and I think the pendulum's going to continue to go back and forth. And I think the economy is going to play a big role in that,
Oh
the
yeah.
employment rates and other factors. But no matter what, I agree with you. I think the world has changed forever, and now it's coming up with what that new balance is. And of course, AI and some of the other technologies are going to play a big role in this as well, because they're going to continue to evolve and adapt. They're going to
Yep.
continue. My wife works for a supply chain and distribution organization, or a transportation organization within that framework. And, we're very well aware that in the next 5 years, her job will probably go away because everything will be back end automated. And it's taking time, and that's the biggest gift we've got right now in helping people reskill and retool, is
Yeah.
the time it's taking to really convert these large scale systems to function digitally with AI and involvement. I just got off of a conversation shortly before this one talking about some high tech and using these tools in the manufacturing and distribution industry for other
Mhm.
businesses, and how this AI with cameras and other digital tech can gauge every aspect of a process and report everything from employee behaviors to process inefficiencies and making recommendations as to what to do, send immediate notifications based
Yeah.
on circumstances that are occurring outside the norm. It's really incredible.
Yeah, it's also, but it's incredible, but it's also a good lesson that staying on top of the innovation and staying on top of what's changing, because as the workplace changes, that just what you said, jobs are going to change. Coming out of high school, coming out of college, making sure you're getting those skills from that are going to equate to knowing technology, learning how to code, learning how to build systems.
And I like that term you just used, skills, because there's this big thing out there that's been around for more than a decade, continuous learning or lifelong learning, right?
Yeah.
100% agree, but it's the skills within that learning. They're going to help people transition from the way the world operates today to those jobs and skills needed into the future.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just like one of the conversations you just had and talking about how changing those mindsets. That's a challenging thing right there, is just changing people's mindsets and having that become a problem. But like I said before, I think that we adapt pretty well, kicking and screaming,
I love that.
and it's going to work out. But I know I did. I totally did. When we went from push button phones to full screens, when Apple changes the little touch on the phone to not having it, like, yeah, I get irritated. I get a little irritated when that stuff happens.
And then good percentage of the time we go, oh, that actually works better.
Right.
Because I remember I did that with the home button versus, I think it was the iPhone 10 that came out with no home button.
Yeah. The only
I was like,
frustration
how's
I
this
have
going to
now
work?
is I have the face thing, and I just got glasses a couple weeks ago. So now my face recognition doesn't work because it doesn't see me with glasses. So that's the latest irritation I've had with technology, but ultimately I'll get over it.
That's outstanding. So if there was one takeaway you could leave our audience, what would that be?
Oh goodness, there's so many. I would probably say stay abreast of the technology that's going on, but more importantly, whether or not you think you can, do that. Do that thing. Whether or not you think you can, because I didn't think that I could run my own business. I didn't think that I could leave teaching. I didn't think that I could do a lot of different things in my life. But ultimately, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be, and it'll occur. But if you put the work in and you find the right mentors, you're going to be able to succeed. Don't let what's up here stop you from doing what you want to do in here.
Yeah. I've often heard the phrase that courage is courage because there's a fear component to it. And
Yes.
it's accepting that fear and still moving forward regardless of it.
Yes. That is in Big Magic. Elizabeth Gilbert's Big Magic. I think Brene Brown talks about that too. Both very awesome women.
In everything you said, there's probably a half a dozen incredible nuggets of insights and lessons learned for people to take away. I thank you so much for those insights. And any final comments or questions you've got?
No, just enjoy your day. Find the joy somewhere and roll with it.
I
That's
think
it.
that I think that is an awesome insight for people to take on. Is it's really about enjoying the journey, not just the achievement of the milestones along that journey.
Yeah. Thanks, Ed.
Thank you all for joining us today, and a special thank you to our guest, Jenny Wilkins, for sharing her insights, experiences, and best success recommendations with us. We hope that this conversation has left you inspired and motivated to embrace the challenges of entrepreneurship with resilience, innovation, and adaptability. Remember, success comes in many forms, and it's essential to define it for yourself. Take the lessons shared by Jenny to heart as you navigate your entrepreneurial journey. Embrace change, seek out opportunities for growth, and always be willing to adapt to the ever-evolving landscape of business. Thank you once again to our phenomenal guest speaker, Jenny Wilkins, and thank you all for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you next time as we continue exploring the stories behind exceptional entrepreneurs. Stay resilient, stay innovative, everyone.